Good morning, everyone. So, in the last class, we have seen Module 6, the topics different methods of construction and types of contracts. Today, we'll be dealing with tenders, pre-qualification procedure, EMT, contract document, general and important conditions of contract, measurement, and measurement book. So, our first topic is tenders. So, whenever a government agency or a firm wants certain works to be done or any purchases to be made, they float tenders in order to get the work done at competitive prices. The person who got the lowest price agreeing to the terms and conditions will have to sign an agreement stating that he will perform the said work as per requirement of the client. The selection of contractors can be made based on his experience and capacity. So, generally, a tender can be defined as an offer in writing to execute some specific work at certain rates within a fixed time and certain conditions. Or we can also define a tender as an invitation from the owner to the contractor to execute some work at specified cost in specified time. As we all know, a tender is published in the form of tender notice in newspapers, notice boards, or websites according to the cost of works. Basically, the difference between a tender and a contract is that a tender formally means an invitation to trade under the terms of offer, and a contract is the term used when the parties have reached an agreement. Now, let us see what a tender document is. The tenders to be called should meet the requirements of the construction. Normally, a tender document consists of general conditions of tender, schedule of items of work with specifications, and special conditions. Or, in general, it consists of NIT, tender form, standard conditions, schedule of quantities of works, tools and plans, special conditions, complete specifications, dispute resolution, nature, scope of the work, and its location. One is notice inviting the tender or NIT. So, as we said earlier, NITs or the notices, tender notices will be published in the newspapers or Indian trade journals website depending upon the type and the cost of the works. The general details that are to be included in the NITs are the name of the client or authority inviting the tender, the description of the work, estimated cost of the work, the cost of tender form, EMT, security deposit, eligibility criteria, acceptance and evaluation of the tender, time of completion, last date and time and place and sale of the tender, etc. are the details to be included. And the tender opening date and time also should be specified. Two samples of notice inviting the tenders are shown here. Please go through that. Now, the NITs or the notices inviting the tenders should include the details regarding the EMT. EMT means earnest money deposit. That is, while submitting the tender, the contractor will have to deposit an amount which is about 1 to 2% of the estimated contract value of the project, or 1 to 2% of the total estimated cost of the work. This amount is called as EMT or the earnest money deposit. This amount is collected to avoid the contractor from refusing to accept the contract once he is awarded the work. Also, the EMT of unsuccessful contractors will be refunded to them. EMT is also collected to avoid unnecessary competition by avoiding the contractors who may not have enough financial status. Similarly, security deposit. Once the tender of a contractor is accepted by the client, the contractor has to deposit an amount of 10% of the tender amount with the client. That is, which is the 10% inclusive of the EMD already paid by him. This amount is called as the security deposit. Security deposit serves as a guarantee that the contractor performs the works as per the specifications and maintains satisfactory progress of the work. The security deposit is refunded to the contractor generally after the maintenance period of 6 to 12 months from the date of handover of the works to the client. During this period, if there is any defect in the work, it will be rectified and the cost of rectification can be deducted from the security deposit. Now, tender form. It is also a part of tender document which is having a standard form giving the bill of quantities, contractors' rates, cost of work, estimated money, security deposit, the total time allowed for the work, columns for signature of the contractor, witnesses, and signature of the officer. Here, the contractor confirms his bid after reviewing and agreeing on the contract documents, site visit and environmental conditions, and confirming all the information obtained affecting the tender. A sample tender form is shown here. Please go through this. Now let us see the types of tenders. Basically, there are 4 different types of tenders: open tender, limited tender, single tender, and global tender. Open tender. Open tenders are usually put forward by government sectors. That is, advertisements inviting the tenders will be given in newspapers, Indian trade journals, notice boards, etc. That is, as we said earlier, it is usually referred to as NIT, or the notice inviting the tenders. Only the contractor with the best price and meeting all the technical requirements will be winning the tender. Next is limited tender, usually adopted by the private sectors and invites only from limited number of contractors. That is, only pre-qualified or known bidders are allowed to participate. No advertisements are given in the newspapers. Usually, the lowest bidder will win the contract. Global tenders. So, for very large works or jobs, global tenders are invited by the organizations. That is, to get competitive offers from reputed firms throughout the world. The notice is similar to ordinary tender notice. Next is single tender or negotiated tender. So here, as the name suggests, only single contractor is approached and the tender is invited from only a single contractor. Work order. When a letter of acceptance is received by the contractor, an agreement takes place between the contractor and the owner. The contractor is instructed to take possession of the site and start the work immediately. The letter of the purpose is called the work order. A sample of the work order is shown below. Next is pre-qualification of contractor. These are the criteria for the qualification of the contractor to submit a tender. Only those contractors who have past experience are qualified to submit the tender. They should have work quality and past experience. They should be competent and they should have obtained the health and safety accreditation. The organizations or the contractors should be financially stable and should be able to produce enough resources including personnel and equipments. They should have the technical and organizational ability. Also, if needed, they should be capable of producing alternate proposals. That is, they should be capable to put forward innovative ideas if needed. The construction works that are decided to be awarded to the contractors are given wide publicity so that interested parties may bid for the work. Usually, the lowest bid is accepted. The rights and obligations of the owner and the contractor are defined in a document called the contract document. This document generally follows a standard format for construction contracts. The contract document consists of the contract agreement and the following set of documents, and each page of the contract document is signed by both the owner and the contractor. So the contract document should include a cover page or title page. It contains the name of work, name of owner, name of contractor, contract agreement number, etc. Next is contents page. The contents of the agreement with page references will be included. Then the third one, notice inviting the tenders. Then tender form. Next is schedule of issue of materials. That is, it contains the list of materials to be issued by the department or owner to the contractor with rates and the place of issue. The contract document should also include the fully dimensioned drawings including plans, elevations, sections, site plan and their specifications. That is, detailed information of each item of work in the limited space of description and the bill of quantities. The contract document should also include the conditions of contract. That is, the conditions of contract. The construction team should be fully aware of their rights and obligations under the contract. The important conditions of contract are time of completion. The contractor is required to complete the work within the agreed time. If there is any delay or extension of time required, it should be brought to the notice of the owner by the contractor in writing within the time specified in the contract for seeking extension of time. The contractor is liable to pay compensation or penalty for delaying the completion of the work. The maximum limit of compensation may be 10% of the contract price. Liquidated damages is a fixed stipulated sum payable by the contractor on account of penalty for delays and does not bear any relationship to the real damage to the owner. It is generally high and fixed per day for the excess period over that specified in the contract for completing the work. Whenever the contractor fails to fulfill his contractual obligations in respect of the quality of the work, even after given notice by the owner, it becomes necessary to appoint a debitable agency which works at the cost and risk of the contractor. The expenses incurred are charged from the bill or security of the original contractor. The valuation of variations is based on the change orders issued in writing by the owner. Generally, for individual items of work, the variations should not be more than 25%, and the variation in total cost should not exceed 10%. Efforts should be made to resolve disputes between the owner and the contractor through mutual discussions and negotiations. Arbitration clause may be incorporated in the contract to settle disputes not resolved through mutual discussions and negotiations. Unforeseen natural calamities like floods, earthquakes are beyond the control of the contractor and may lead to financial and time loss. The contractor should obtain an insurance policy for such risk. In the event of financial or time loss, the contractor can claim financial compensation from the owner for risks which are not insurable and an extension of time for all such risks. During the execution of the works, there is chance of hike in labor wages and material prices as a result of inflation. The contract conditions should include an appropriate clause for payment of escalation to the contractor. The owner can terminate the contract in the event of default or bankruptcy of the contractor and may impose penalty as per the contract agreement. Due notice must be served on the contractor before termination of the contract. Next topic is measurement book. Measurement book is a very important document and should be maintained carefully. Measurements of all the works and supplies are recorded in Measurement Book Form 23. It is in the form of a notebook of size 15 cm by 10 cm and contains instructions how to write up the columns for particulars. It includes the details of actual measurements in terms of length, breadth, and depth, also area. All the pages must be numbered serially. A register is maintained in the divisional office showing the serial number, name of the subdivision or officer to whom issued, date of issue, date of return, remarks. In case of loss of the measurement book, it is a very serious matter and it has to be reported to the higher authorities immediately. Suitable action is taken if anybody is found responsible. If the loss of measurement book could not be traced within 6 months, an application for sanction of write-off together with full report and explanation should be submitted to the chief engineer who is authorized to sanction the write-off. In order to have proper control, certain percentage of measurements are recorded by the subordinate officers and are required to be checked by the assistant engineers and executive engineers. Standard measurement books are used for periodical repair and maintenance works which are to be carried out at fixed intervals of time. The standard measurement books are checked every 5 years. A sample page of a measurement book is shown here. Go through this page, and that's all for today. Thank you for listening.